Recording.
Hello, Terry. How are you doing?
All right, mate. How you doing? You all right?
All right, pal. I'm plodding on as you do. So, what have you been up to?
Mate, looking sharp.
Yeah, 163 I weighed this morning before toilet before me run. So, but I haven't weighed after. So, I'm under 160. But so I don't know what's happened. I've been eating, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's running, isn't it? Do you think? And cutting out.
Yeah, but you've been doing a lot of cardio recently. You do a lot of bench pressing as well.
Yeah, a lot of bench pressing. Yeah, a lot. You twat.
Nah.
You put it on your Twitter.
I don't humiliate you like that, mate.
I sent it to Peter Fury, but I don't think Peter will put it on. It's not like that. But he will howling. But it just shows you if you're not paying attention, doesn't it? What can happen?
But you know what? You know what it was like. You went straight into it without putting your feet down, just to test whether you had it under control or not.
Yeah, that's what I always do. You see, yeah. And I thought something's not right here. But if my feet had been on floor, it would have been a lot easier. But because you like that, you've no balance, have you?
Yeah, with those ones, man, you normally just do that as a floor press. Just lie on the floor, kick your feet up, and press from there, just so you've got that firm base to work off.
Do you know that decline, Terry? You know what you
Yeah,
like going backwards and that. I don't like.
yeah.
I don't like that. I try it on that seat. You know how much that seat? What down there? It was 500 quid for just that seat. You know that. It robbed me they did, but I don't like that when it goes down. I prefer it like I don't mind it like that. But if you're on your own, you can't do no any weight. So I have to get a weight that's manageable because these are not into it either. Kevin and Townie, that Kevin's golfer, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he likes playing golf. I got rid of them pink clubs. He's just nabbed them. There you go.
There you go.
Gary, couldn't game you, they've gone. But
Yeah,
I'm not a golfer. I'm not a golfer. He's got a set, but he ain't got pins. But he'll be. I think he'll give them ones he's got that are shit to their knee. I've said to him, look, you're at that age now, Kevin, where you need to be playing golf and getting a bit of fitness. You know, golf, when I first played golf years ago, first time I ever tried it, Terry, it were a 5 hour job, 5, 6 hour. If you can't play, so what you're doing is walking looking for your ball, aren't you? But
it's annoying.
it's done me head in. Does me head in golf. I don't even know why Froch plays it, but he likes it. He's a bit more patient than me. And plus, Rocco's going to go pro, in it. But he ain't for me.
But you know why he plays golf, don't you?
Why?
It's exposure to rich people.
Oh,
No, it is. There's no other reason to play golf. Like, it's not an enjoyable sport. Like, if you've ever played a high adrenaline sport, if you've boxed, if you've played rugby, if you've played football, you can't play golf, man. You just play golf to be around rich people.
yeah. Oh, well, that's not my scene anyway, that golf. But there's enough people with a few quid at boxing, isn't there, for Carl to make a few quid off?
But not after he did start his channel, mate. Like, he's just firing rockets at everyone.
You know what, right? I think he's got to the stage where. But I'll tell you a little story. First proper conversation I had with Carl about this CV on my 41st birthday. And he
Were you
said
28 and a half stone?
20, I was maybe about 28 then. I went, I know what you're getting at. When I went for my gastric, when I had the last medical, this is right. You need to start your diet in a couple of weeks because you have to lose some weight quick so it doesn't hurt you when they do it. So I said, okay. I went out at 28 stone 8 and drank 12 pints of Stella and I had 2 full Englishes. So what were I before I started it? But I had to get down to 26 and a half before they would operate. Are you with me? Or 26.10, something like that. Because if they can't just do it straight away, what they do, they put you on a diet for 2 weeks. 8 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock, something like that. Activita yogurt, pint of milk, and then same for them other 2 days. So once I'd done that and I got down to 26 and a half and knocked it, about £20 or £21, something I lost like that. I rung them up and I said, oh yeah, it's Russell. Can I speak to this woman? It were Louise, she was called. She's gone, yeah, I've gone, do you know what? I'm going to give that gastric a miss. She's gone, oh, you can't do that. You've paid for it. I goes, I know. Just give me my dough back. And because I should have just paid the 500, but like a prick, I had to give him it all. But they took cash, which shocked me. Really shocked me. But they wouldn't get me back. So they know it's paid for and it's going for. I thought, well, I would have stuck to that, me. Because if you're knocking all that weight up in a short period of time, you've found the magic formula, aren't you, Terry?
No, but when you're 28 stone, you can get from 28 to 23 quick, right? Because your body's mainly just shedding. No, but your body will just shed a load of water. It will shed a lot of stuff that it just keeps in there. The hard part is really like getting down to the weight you're at now. Because when you start trying to drop like 10 kilos from where you are now, it's almost impossible.
Well, what about when I was in Robam Hospital? My stomach exploded in Turkey. When I came back and that, and I went back and I thought it was terrible. What they did, they said you can't eat, you know, by mouth rustle. So I was, oh, what's that? Because I didn't know what they meant. They says, oh, you can't have anything, you're only on your drip. So I went, all right. So do you know Frank? Frank Smith,
yeah.
Big Frank. Oh no, this were in Oldham, were it? Oldham, he come to see me in Oldham, but they won't let him in. Frank, this were Oldham. I got off an aeroplane in Oldham first, got me on runway. And it struck me in like animal lecture. So it's on my channel, that documentary. So I'm in Oldham and Frank come to see me. And I've got all this piss. And I've thrown it all over hotel room, hospital room. And just gone berserk and I was abusing all staff. And he came in and bollocked me. He said,
mate, you never learn, do you? You got turfed off a flight for the same thing.
Yeah. No, I came back off the flight. No, this is coming home. Because when I got arrested going to Turkey the first time, I told them all to bollocks on plane, didn't I? Right, and they tried to get me arrested, but they didn't arrest me. They just made sure that I got into a dentist. They send a limo for you, don't they? But they wouldn't take me back, would they? Jet 2, so I'm banned for life. But what can you do? But Frank came to see me in Oldham, and he said he didn't set about me physically, but you can't speak to staff like this. They didn't know what they were doing. And they left me all night with all guns coming out my stomach and it drained it all the way around my sheets of my house. And I laid there like that, pressing this buzzer, because you know what I'm like, don't you? I'm fucking mental age of about 15. I just kept pressing this buzzer all night long. And when they weren't coming, anything I could grab, I was loving it. Frank came and seen it all and got me out there. I said, come and get me out here. And then we went back to his house because when I flew from Manchester, I left my Merc at his house in Bury. And I stayed at Frank's. I went to Frank's and I said, I'm going home. Because you know, because I am. So I put a pressure pad on my stomach, Frank, with a towel. And I was like that all the way home. And I said, I'll be all right. I told my mum I'll be okay. I got back here. Well, bad after a couple of days. And I ended up in Donny, didn't I, a week?
Yeah.
He didn't even operate on me. So I went from there back home 4 months, and then that was no good, and then up to Rotherham. And when I was in there, I went down to 8 stone 13, but that's the point I'm getting to now. When I was 11 and a half, they were not really to come off me. But it eats away. You remember the photos, don't you? It eats away your skeleton muscle, doesn't it? And
he's wearing the muscle.
You think looking in the mirror that you're okay. And I remember sending Scott Brunt a video. So you're all right. And he rung me back. He was really roaring. He went, well, what's going on? I said, I'm all right. But I think he felt bad, Scott, because he'd said, oh, don't go to Bulgaria for your team. Go to our lass's aunties. She's from Rotherham. She's got a place in Antalya. So I went, all right. And I think he felt really bad. So he sent his missus round with all these big drinks for me. And now I look back on them photos, and I had a head like a skull, didn't I? You know, when I was laid at home, and I was going, idiots, putting all the shit on. My head not going back like that. Well, last night I was watching some of them videos when you were saying, look at Porky, he's dedicated to the hardcore cause. I'm like that fucking nurse coming every 6 hours to wipe my ass or whatever, my stomach.
He's out there looking like Skeletor.
When you look back, I look like Ronald McIntosh, Ronald McDonald. When I look back now, I don't recognise that person, under 9 stone. But the good part is Scott rung Big Ron up and he came to see me, didn't he? And it would have done Dennis's head in to like swallow, to come and see me. Because I know him, don't I? But it was nice. We were nice.
You two need to make peace, man. Like properly make peace.
Dennis, you know where I am.
Nah. You two just need to make peace, get on the same page again, and this
Well,
time
when he
just behave
sacked his
yourself.
secretary,
Huh?
once he sacked that secretary, I'll speak to Dennis again. He will never do.
Nah, don't be so prideful, Russ, man. Like, you know what I mean?
It's
Opportunity.
prideful.
That's it, prideful, not spiteful.
You know what I'm like, Terry? You know, when I fall out with people, I take it personally. Don't lift your personal friends. It's a bit close, isn't it? If you ever fall out with somebody, you know.
Nah, no, I fall out with my mates all the time, man. We just shrug it off. Yeah, you're meant to argue with your mates.
We've
You know
got
what I
a
mean? I
couple
don't take.
of moves, aren't we? But we're all right after a couple of months, aren't we?
Nah, mate, that there's one call I remember, mate. I've still got them voice notes.
Well, it's boxing, though, isn't it? Why people get at it, isn't it, Terry? Isn't it?
Mate, like,
It's always, you
if we
what?
release those to the public, the hardcores will have a field day.
What?
If we release those voice notes to the public, the hardcores will have a field day. But that's what, look, you know what I've learned as I've got older, Russ?
Yeah.
I don't take stuff personally. Like, if I've been mates with someone for a while, if we argue, do you know what I just call it? I call it a random combination of events, mate. Do you know sometimes you argue with someone and there's no real reason. It's just at that one moment, things came together in a unique sequence, and you're like, we just argued.
Hold it in. Yeah, listen, people fall out, don't they? And I
I've
suppose
seen people shot over stuff where you're like, mate, that could have just been, that could have just been a one-off. And then people try and justify it afterwards. It's like, no. It didn't need to go that far.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we've had a bit of a chat, bit of light-hearted entertainment, a bit of a chat about dieting and that. Terry, fight of the year winner in March, or is it April? Either way, that's the fight of the year, and there's nobody's going to get close to that, is there? It's Big Freeze and White Collar Wardley. Let's go.
Ooh, well, no. So I understand why people say fight of the year because it's the one that's most recent, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you break it down, Russ, the first half of that fight was kind of like, it was all right. The first half was all right, yeah, and then the gas tank started to go. Once the gas tank started to go, and the tactics went out the window, and then it was just right. Who's got the biggest heart? Then it became compelling. It was dramatic. It gave you that kind of Rocky feel. And you saw at the end of it, Fraser didn't make it back to his stool, and you say, do you know what? Whatever you want to think about those two, they earned their money that night.
Left it in the ring, and I tip my hat to them, and I want to see that every fight, but we don't do it.
No, but you don't want to see that every fight. The reason
You know
you
what I
don't
mean?
is
Every headliner. I mean, Terry, you know what? That's built
even
up.
but even then, it loses its magic. You don't want a war like that. There's certain times you want. No, but there's certain times, Russ, you just want a third round knockout. And then there's certain fights where I want to see a masterclass. You want to see boxing in all of its magic, right? Because if I just get war after war after war, I become desensitized to what it is.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Now, it's Big Freeze. I had winning it by a round, but I'm not unhappy with the draw because for the first time we've been served what we've always wanted and craved. We need 2 or 3 of them a year, don't we? Really. So I'm not happy with the draw because it allows them to build it up and go again. But some of the scorecards, Terry, before we talk about the performances, the scorecards, they always spoil it, don't they? Really, even if we're happy with draw, looking at the cards, how they were out, the judges and that, no, it's happening, is it? We're not learning anything, are we? Do you think?
I thought the cards were. I can understand the cards. So I tweeted, "This feels like a 113-113," right? And I tweeted that in the 10th round. I said, "This fight feels like it's going to be 113-113."
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. I was glad one of the judges saw it that way because I thought Fraser banked a lot of the early rounds and then got a couple of the later ones. And I had him, like, if you just look at it from a pure rounds perspective, 7-5. And then you got to make the deductions. So that's what brings it down to 113-113. If you gave it to Fraser and you liked his kind of work rate, his punch picking combinations, kind of his general poise, he looked like he had a bit more polish than Fabio. And these are things you've got to reward, Russ. A lot of people think, because I always hear this, he landed more shots than him. And then I go, but combined, those men landed about 300 punches, right? If it takes about a tenth of a second to land a punch, that's about what? A minute's worth of graft?
Yeah.
Yeah, minutes worth of graft over 36 minutes. So how are you going to score the rest of the fight? So all the other 35 minutes, you got to score those. You got to score all of that activity too. So there's a lot of stuff you've got to reward that fans don't generally look for. So I can see why one judge would have it wide to Fraser, but then I can see why the other judge would have it closer in favouring Fabio, because those hard shots Fabio was landing were having an effect. You saw sweat pouring off the head of Fraser when he was taking those shots. But I felt we were always going to get to the right result, because it just never felt like there was a conclusive winner in that fight. Yeah. And even if Fraser had nicked it or Fabio had nicked it, we'd all be saying we want to see it again.
You reckon, yeah?
Yeah, we'd all be saying we want to see it again.
I'd like to see it again, but I'd like to see him get pay-per-view, because they'll have took a few years off their lives for that fight, won't they? So it's only right that they get paid, and we've seen a lot worse get pay-per-view, haven't we, in the past?
You know, I wonder, Russ. So someone else said they took years off their life with that. I don't think because neither guy is, well, Fabio probably more heavy-handed, but Fraser's not insanely powerful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if Fabio's got a decent chin, I've seen it up close, he's all right. I think those guys, it looked dramatic towards the end because they weren't fit enough, because they'd never done the 12.
Do you think that Fabio had a better engine than its big threes, but he was susceptible to uppercuts, Terry?
Good question. I thought they were both knackered. I think Fraser was better at disguising it than Fabio was.
Yeah.
Because remember, as soon as the final bell went, Fabio, I think if I remember correctly, he flops over the rope. Yeah. And then his corner pick him up and go, no. Look confident. Fraser just slumped down, couldn't get him on the stool. And he was just like, just give me a minute.
Yeah.
And, the medics were a bit nervous. I think they were both, I think by about round 10, it was just instinct on both sides. Instinct, heart, guts, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's...
Do you know what it reminded me of, Russ?
Well,
when you watch those guys like Mike Weaver and James Bone Crusher Smith and Tim Witherspoon, when they used to have those like 15-round wars, that era after Ali, but before Mike Tyson, and you see these guys just going at it, 15 rounds, 12 rounds, just going at it, and you're like, how are they doing this? It gave me that kind of early to mid 80s feel.
Yeah, you had that. You want the Lost Generation? You remember them?
Yeah, but
Mike Weaver, Tim Witherspoon, Pinkland Thomas, Tony Tubbs, Jerry Coetzee, all that shower. Frank Bruno.
No, wait, no, you can't call them a shower, man. That's disrespectful.
All that heavyweight boxers. Sorry, I didn't mean that badly.
Yeah.
They never really got Bone Crusher Smith. They never really put any run together, did they? They were like men that held the belt for one fight or one defense,
But then, okay, but what do we want? Do we want competitive fights where the belt shifts every so often?
Yeah.
Or do we want that? What's your choice?
Yeah, do we want to see, because they were, well, why do they call them the Lost Generation if they were competitive fights? And so there's two sides to it then, to every story. So in future, when people mention them as the Lost Generation, that 80s group before Mike Tyson got stuck into them, before he came on scene.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that now, because you made a good point there. Maybe they were more competitive. Would them guys be able to hang in this era, do you think?
If you adjust it for weight, 100%.
You mean because they were fractionally smaller then? That's because it's 40 years ago, nearly half a decade, and human beings have got bigger, haven't we? And faster and stronger because of nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah. If they had what these guys have now, they'd be more than competitive. They were just harder men. Do you know what I mean? They were harder men.
Yeah, they were. It's when I look back at that generation, I always think of Frank Bruno, And I think if he were matched a bit stronger in his younger days, because the British team didn't they, for a reason, didn't they? Obviously, because they built him up as, you know, this British icon, didn't they? So they were never going to put him near danger in his own country, were they? Unless it were for a belt and money, you know, like that.
Well, remember he had his eye done before he turned over.
Yeah, it was strange, that, wasn't it?
Remember, yeah, he went to Colombia to get his eye operated on.
Mm.
So maybe that's why they were like, we'll save him.
Yeah, because some of the fights, I mean, Steve Bunce lost his press pass for putting questions to Mickey Duff at a presser, and I think he might have commented in his column as well about, I think, Frank Bruno's opponents and or one of Duff's fighters. It might not be Frank, but I think it was Frank, and he got banned for 2 years. So, do you think times have changed since then, Terry, with the media? You know, those old school hacks, you know, like your Bunce, your Colin Hart, Pat Sheenan. What have we got now compared to them?
Well, we've got Steve Bunce. We've got Gareth A. Davies.
Gareth A. Davies, yeah. But what do you think about these new breed guys? That, you know, Nick Pete, Adam Cattrall, all them types. What do you rate them?
No.
You don't rate them, no? Why not?
No.
I do.
I know you. I know you. I know you love these guys, but they're clowns.
I follow Fight Disciples, don't I? I think it's good. I think it's good.
Nah.
It's their own, isn't it? Come on.
Nah. That look. I know people. I know the argument is people can change over time, but that Adam Cattrall was a bit of a bell end when he did that radio show on Blackburn. Right? He was known. He was in the papers for being a bit of a bell end. That Nick Peake, I don't know who he is. The thing is, Russ, you know, with Steve Bunce, right? I see Steve Bunce at shows, pro shows, amateur shows, it don't matter. So when Steve talks, he's got that big picture view. I don't see these Adam Cattrall guys. They're bedroom experts. I mean, these are guys who wouldn't have anything to talk about if there was no YouTube.
Yeah.
So I can't rate that. I can't rate guys who don't put the shift in. Yeah, you do it when it's cool, when it's Instagram worthy. Now put a shift in. You mean like Andy Clark puts a shift in. Chris Lloyd, as much as I don't necessarily agree with Chris Lloyd, Chris put a shift in. That you'd see him doing amateur shows, doing commentary. There are guys who put the work in, and there are guys that don't. And I'm never afraid to call out the guys that don't.
Yeah.
So I don't care. Like, I'm not part of the hardcore scene. I'll put a middle finger up to those guys. I don't rate a lot of them. I don't respect a lot of them because we don't see them.
Yeah. Have you seen that Rico?
Mate, not for a while, man. You know, I'm laying low, man. It's Ramadan, so I've got my head down, man. Just trying to get through these days with, you know, I'm like you now, Russ, man. You know, you have to fast before you get operated on. I'm like that now. Just having to have nothing. You know, I'm dehydrated as anything. You know what? I'm just trying to find moisture. So I've got wet towels over my head, wherever it is, just to keep moisture in me.
You're not very well like at the moment.
Huh?
You're not very well at the moment, like.
No, I'm all right for now. It's when it gets to about 5 o'clock, and then, man, I don't make any sense to anyone.
Why? What happens at 5 o'clock? You turn into a werewolf, Terry.
Nah, but you just deplete, Russ. You're depleted because remember, you got to go through your day, working, all this sort of stuff, and then you get to 5. You're like, I've still got 2 hours, 45 minutes till I can eat. And then you're like, what do I do for 2 hours, 45 minutes? Do I nap? Do I go to the gym? So, yeah. So you get to that point, you don't want to talk to anyone because all you can think about is eating.
Yeah. I have that same problem here. Got me doing fitness videos and they've only got an apple in the fridge and a few little small porridge oat things for me shakes. Porridge.
Mate, how long till you on the old clomiphene, mate?
Yeah, I would take out like that. You know, I wouldn't want to risk out like that because I know what it's like to be on an operating theatre, don't I? I've had enough operations. I don't want to be ill again.
You see, Russ shows up all 18 stone ripped.
Robbie Reed said to me years ago, he goes, do you know what, Porky? You can go through life, have money, lose money. He says, but you know when you're ill, you always say you swap everything for your health. Robin Reed always used to say that to me, health is wealth. He always says that every time I speak to him. Health is wealth.
Health and time. You'd always give your money up to get more time back.
Well, listen, I'm 54 in a few months. So if I can get another 20 years out of my life, Terry, it's 20 more Easters. It's good, isn't it?
Well, yeah, you got to stop shouting and screaming for a start, mate. Ranting and raving.
I know, because I'm going to get myself an ulcer, aren't I, again?
Yeah.
screaming and shouting, pop, pop, bang. I've heard up from him. MI5 are not watching him from the moon now. They're following him around. They're doing parallel runs like in that film Heat when they're watching De Niro and his chums. Good film, that, isn't it? I watched that every now and then. I can't pick her out to watch. I just put that on or
never form an attachment to anything you can't leave in 30 seconds when you feel the heat around the corner.
Yeah, do you know that film, right? Do you know why I like it so much, Heat? Why I like Miami Vice so much? It's more visual than like words, isn't it? They're telling a story by the visualness of it. And that's why Michael Mann's one of the greatest directors. That's what I personally believe.
Yeah.
But yeah. And he's a rated director, because I know because of the back of people who Sean Bean says is in Aries says that Michael Mann's the dog's bollocks. So if he says that, a radar trained actor, he must be. Do you know what I mean? But I like that. I like Godfather ones as well. I mean, people slate Godfather 3, but I think it's good. I think Andy Garcia plays a good part in that. He's a bit Vincent Mancini, doesn't he?
But it was also kind of, because remember when 3 came out, we'd had like the whole takedown of the 5 families, hadn't we? So we'd had John Gotti, Sammy the Bull Gravano, and you suddenly realize that these mafia guys were grasses as well. It kind of took the magic off that thing. Whereas like Godfather 2 was almost like a guide to life, wasn't it?
Angelo Ruggiero's the main one, isn't he? In his daughter's bedroom.
Nah, it's Robert Duvall. You know when they get the guy and he's like, "Please, Tom, for old time's sake," and Tom Hagen's just like, "Can't do it." And he gave him the little head shake. It's like, yo, you can get rid of him.
What about Fredo? Fredo got dealt with on Rowboat, didn't he? Up at Brothers Henchman. Poor Fredo.
It's a good guide to life though, man. That Godfather thing. Just
you know what's the
I
best?
remember.
Oh, sorry, go on. Sorry.
I went through a phase that I used to just walk my hands behind my back. If I was having a serious conversation, just walk my hands behind my back.
I've just put it down there because I've got short-term memory loss at the moment. I'm having to write things down. Mo Green. I'm Mo Green. I'm Mo Green.
Isn't that Goodfellas?
Yeah, no, Mo Green's in Godfather when Fredo's out there in Vegas.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think what Mo's with.
It's the second one. I think it might be the second one, isn't it? I'm not sure. I think it's the second one.
Yeah.
Michael Corleone goes out there to see him, and yeah, I think he's straightened him out. He said, "I straightened out your brother." He goes, "You straightened out my brother Fredo?" He goes, "Yeah, we're banging cocktail waitresses 2 at a time." And then he said, "Well, you coming around here, you Guinness? I'm Mo Green." Oh, that scene, me and my pal, we were in Moorlands. We used to owl, to smoke weed at night, skunk in there. We'd save it all night. We'd have to block all bottom of the door open and blowing it out the window. And we used to owl about Mo Green, my pal. He's called Joe. We used to go, we used to think we were Mo Green, stoned. But little victories, you don't always get a big fat spliff in jail every night, do you? But when you do, it's all you need, isn't it? Because you've had no, because you're gym all the time, aren't you? But we used to, good days, jail days. They were good. Obviously, you have bad days, don't you? But okay, I want to finish off part 1 on Chris Eubank Jr., Terry. And I said something recently to someone, I forget, it might have been Jerry or Kent, I forget. I said that he doesn't really want to have a legacy, does he? I don't see him making any noise about going through rankings or for eliminators, final eliminators, or even challenging for a belt. So is he now in the like gimmick bracket? You know, he wants to fight Beefy, he wants to fight Ben. The gimmick fights now, aren't they, really? Do you think?
Nah, but he's the money man in the division.
If
you look at middleweights,
how can this be? How?
He's been very smart in how he's marketed himself. Very, very smart. He got the balance right between kind of having the dad's name, but having enough credible fights that he's not a joke. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't call Eubank Jr. a joke. Like you can look at Conor Benn's career and go, they kept him away from everyone. Whereas with Eubank Jr., you're like, no. He tasted the fire a few times.
Yeah, it's It's madness. Right, we're going to go on to part 2, young man.
Why, we've got 10 minutes on this one.
I can't see what time is it. No, I haven't got a
About
clock.
5:30.
Wait a minute.
No, we're all right, mate. We've got time.
9 o'clock, it says here. Do you know what? I ain't got a fucking battery in it. And I keep forgetting to bring one. No battery. So how long's left in it? Because they don't have a time thing on this, and I didn't press some.
Mate, we've got like 8-9 minutes. We're good.
Oh yeah. Okay. Joe G's gone out to Saudi yesterday. He's gonna be back next week, I think. Hang on a minute. He seems to be doing really well out there. He's the go-between guy from what I'm hearing of kids that are turning pro and who are going to turn, who are top amateurs over there. They're going to go pro, and Joe's involved with who should do it and stuff like that. So I think that's really, really, really good. He kept it quiet, didn't he, as well, to get out there.
Yeah. So from what I understand, it's like a pathway role, isn't it?
Yeah.
So number one, how do we create top amateurs in Saudi? And then once we've created these top amateurs, how do we transition them into being top pros? So I think Joe's perfectly suited to, because he's done both, hasn't he? Like he's done both. Then he's trained like was it Stevie Foster from amateur to pro? He's done all of that stuff. He understands all of that. So I wish him all the best, mate, because there was a time when they were trying to wipe him out. And he just kept plugging away, just kept chipping away, moving, grooving. I mean, look at it, puts his own shows on for his guys. Nah, Joe, right now, Joe might be Mr. Boxing.
Well, this is how I look at it, mate. He's there while Sunday. But if they can ring you in the afternoon and get you on a flight that night, he's got a bit of pull out there, hasn't he? You know? And he hasn't shouted it about as he like all the rest of them. He's not doing interviews and all that. He's not ballsing out up, is he? You know what I mean? You'd have to give him credit, because what happened to him were nothing short of scandalous, and I mean scandalous. And them Smiths, all of you should hang your heads in shame. Right? That's all I've got to say on them. And I'm a Smith fan, as you know. We should hang their heads in shame, what they've done, and Eddie Hills. But you know what? He's at last laugh, because Hills, he'll rub them up out there wrong way and won't he? And we aren't Joshua. He's not really at the party, is he? You know what I mean? So he'll be on his way out soon, because I don't see him bringing anybody through. Do you? Who's he bringing through from Britain? Who's the big? Johnny,
it won't be that.
Johnny Bob?
No, it will never be that, Russ. You have to understand how rich people work. Rich people back both sides in a conflict.
You are.
Right. Rich people will always back both sides in a conflict. That way they win regardless. So the Saudis will go, look, we know Eddie and Frank don't get on. So if we back both of them, we make sure that neither one of them has any power. So they'll always find a home for Hearn. And if it's not going to be Hearn, they'll find a home for Ben Shalom. So the Saudis will never concentrate power in one man. Doesn't make any sense. It just makes things more expensive.
Sure.
But no, we're all right for time.
Hey?
We're okay for time. Don't worry, mate.
Yeah. I don't know what time I clicked it on. Like I said, I don't know how to. I mean, when I first started, do you remember? I didn't even need to know how to turn a computer on. Do you remember when I used to ring Rico and go, Rico, that password you've given me, it's not working. And Rico's like, what have you done? I'm going to press every button. He goes, have you pressed? I'll tell you what it's called. Caps lock. I went, no, I haven't pressed that one. He went, try that one. I went, Rico, it worked.
Mate, it's been a journey. That's for sure. It's been an absolute journey.
Well, I started out in Dennis's office, then a shed, and then going
right. It's bench pressing in a shed.
Well, I was a big 80 bencher. Probably weighed about 300 kilo then.
Mate, I know.
You couldn't make it up, kid, could you? Dave Allen's come out. He's had a lot of stick last night on social media. He's fighting a guy who's had 27 fights and he's got 2 wins. I know it's.
What's the point?
What's the point? I understand that. What's the point in even getting out? Is he just doing it because he wants to get off the deal he's got with Dennis? I think, yeah. That's what I think. But
well, then
if I think that, Dennis will want it because he's
burning his career. I'd just give Dennis a cut of anything I made and said, look, let's burn the contract up, give you 20% of anything I earn, move on. That's what I would have done. Like
Yeah. He signed
he
a deal though, didn't
he's burning his best years, man. He's wasted his prime years. Like, let him fight Cash Alley. All right, mate, do you want to swap over now?
he? Yeah, go on then.
All right, we'll do that.
Please join us on part 2. Pop, pop, man.